This is OL Nation, session 17. Welcome, Laurentians, around the world, across generations. I'm Rohan Shetty, Vindhya 1986, your host. Our mission is knowledge sharing, thought leadership, and professional networking. We're delighted to have C Vijayakumar, my classmate, the President and CEO of HCL Technologies, as our primary speaker for this evening. Vijay is a super energetic, hardworking, focused individual, and he's come a long way from Coimbatore, Lovedale, to where he is today. And now, onwards to our main session, we have Kalpana Kutaya, Pankaj 1980, here with us. Welcome, Kalpana.
Thank you, Rohan, and hello, everyone. For this session of OL Nation, we have as our speaker, C Vijayakumar, who will be in conversation with Samir Sood, who returns as our moderator for this conversation. C Vijayakumar, Sumero 1986, who many of you might know as Vijay, is CEO of HCL Technologies. For 4 consecutive years, under his leadership, HCL Technologies has been the fastest growing large technology company in the world. Vijay's leadership has been lauded around the globe and has earned him accolades like Best ITES CEO of the Year. Vijay joined HCL 25 years ago as a member of the team that delivered India's first fully automated trading network at the National Stock Exchange. Since then, he has relentlessly reinvented himself to navigate the evolving leadership and industrial landscape. In 2019, Vijay returned to our school as a chief guest for the investor ceremony and gave a memorable speech to the students. Today, he returns to speak to the OL community. Samir Sood, Arvali 1987, is the founder of Venture Highway, which provides guidance and capital to early-stage technology entrepreneurs. He also helped grow and diversify India Forge, his family's more traditional manufacturing business. Samir was head of South Asia, Australia, M&A investments for Google, where he led Google's investments in several of first-time seed stage funds in India. He was part of the corporate business development team at Cisco Systems, where he led wireless acquisitions and investments and executed Cisco Systems' first venture investment in India. Samir has an MBA from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business, a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Tufts University, and a Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Today, we have 2 Laurentians with roots in engineering and technology who have soared as leaders and entrepreneurs. We now hand over this OL Nation session to both of them. Welcome, Vijay, and welcome, Samir.
Thank you, Kalpana. Hello, Samir. Good to be here.
Hello, Vijay. Hello, Kalpana. Great to be here. Vijay, it's really amazing to bring you on to this session for all Laurentians, current, past, and future. I really appreciate the time for you to share your life experiences so that the next generation of people coming out of Lawrence can benefit from your vast experience of growing with a company that has today become a dominant company globally. Let us start with some life experiences. Let's go back to your growing up years, and we would love for you to share with us the people and the environment that helped you and shaped you to who you are today.
Samir, great speaking to you. First of all, I have to commend the platform. OL Nation is an amazing platform. I've seen a few episodes, and the variety of dialogues that is happening on this platform is just mind-blowing. And it's an amazing initiative put together by a group of old Laurentians. Hats off to all of to keep this show going. Coming to my own little story, I was born in Coimbatore, very simple family. My parents were very hardworking. And they emphasized a lot on education. So my early childhood was a lot about school and education. And I was fortunate to get Government of India scholarship to join Lawrence School, Lovedale. That's how I really made it. I don't think my parents could afford it. I think it was an amazing life experience, Lawrence itself. So Lovedale, I'm sure, as all of you know, is really a melting pot uh, of India, right? Different cultures, people with very different skills, uh, different passions, and people excel in various aspects of life. And you get to experience that so early. I think it's a transformative experience for young people to really be in this environment. And while people come from different backgrounds, they all meld together so well, and there is a unique culture which evolves, which is the Lovedale, the environment and culture. In school, I think, I mean, I was a very studious person. I think the most influential people were, I mean, most of the teachers are really, really very, very fresh in my mind. Uh, A. Krishnaswamy, Nirmala Krishnaswamy, Vaidyanathan, Surinder Lal, Gopalakrishnan, Subban, Vyas. The teachers have left such an indelible impression, or I mean, it's just so difficult. It's impossible to forget them. I think they've kind of, without even kind of, without purposely doing it, they've had such an impact on our lives. And of course, the whole school experience, I think the number of different people, you look up to someone, you learn so much from every individual who kind of studied with you. I think it was an amazing experience, I would say.
Thank you for sharing. That's an amazing background, amazing way to come up. There must have been many low points, because happiness is limited, and low points especially in life are more. Could you share some of those low points and how you overcame those during your journey, especially in your earlier years?
I think early years was about when you start your professional career. I think a lot of us are very resilient to professional challenges. We learn and we overcome the professional challenges, and the professional environment is also very conducive to enable your success. I think some of the challenges are probably how we deal with our personal situations. For me, for example, losing my father when I was 30 years old, and losing my mother a few years back. I think they were, I would say, the real difficult circumstances. When things happen to you, it impacts you, and there's a big void that gets created in life, and I think it just gives a very different perspective of everything in life. So,
thank you for sharing personally and deeply. As you came through your professional life post college, you have been with HCL for almost all of your life. Just can you take us back on how you started and what gave you the first break to start with a company, and why did you pick HCL versus maybe some of the other opportunities you had then?
I think it was a journey of accidents, I would say. After college, I was very passionate about digital signal processing. So I joined C Bangalore to do some kind of development work in satellite communication for 3 or 4 years. After that, HCL had won this program to set up the National Stock Exchange, which was all manually. All the trading in India used to happen 30 years back, a lot of manual kind of trading. And this was a platform set up, and there was not much of communication facilities in different parts of the country. So a satellite network was envisaged to set up this whole trading network. So, and I had a little bit of satellite background from C. and that kind of gave me the first opportunity, and I was very attracted and very excited about this project. And that's what in 1994 is when I joined. It's 27 years of journey at HCL.
Super. And how did they find you? Or did you find them?
I don't specifically recall. I think this was a pretty, I would say, well-known program. So I think I was interested, and I think it was my interest which led me to HCL.
Super. So you basically were outward looking and found HCL as an opportunity and have grown with them. So coming to your industry, you now lead HCL. Some of your personal bests as you have grown through the organization and now have become the leader of the organization. We would love to hear those moments.
Samir, I think the personal best, or where you really feel very excited about what you have accomplished, it happens when you have done something very unique. And probably it's the first time it's being done, or you've done it in the best possible way, or something to that extent. So I would want to recollect three things in this journey of almost 27 years at HCL. The first one is where I started. It was really setting up the National Stock Exchange, being a part of a team which designed and set up the network for satellite communication for the trading of stocks. National Stock Exchange was itself a very prominent and one of the most progressive initiatives when India liberalized and kind of modernized itself. So being part of this program and really building this solution, for the first time, trades could happen on a satellite link. People from anywhere in India could access the trading network and do it. It was an amazing. I still remember the day. It was on the 3rd of November 1994 when this network went live on the Diwali day. So it's a great memory. The second would be the Indian IT services has predominantly been a software services industry, programming, coding, software development support for almost the last 3 decades. HCL did something different. We said, instead of just developing software, can we manage infrastructure, which is the data centers, network, remotely, and can that be a good business opportunity? And there was a team of people who conceptualized what we call as remote infrastructure management. And this was a big success. It still forms a bedrock of HCL Tech's revenues. Almost a third of its revenue comes from infrastructure management. And I was part of this team. I had a leadership role in many situations. So really creating a completely new industry. Now every other IT services player has infrastructure management as an important service line. It's kind of helped the industry grow over the last decade or so. I think it's again a good new thing that we did, which has created a different industry. And in the recently, we ventured into software products, as all the Indian IT services companies are predominantly focused on services. We took on building a software product business, a little bit of acquisitions, a little bit of organically developing products and creating a software product platform. I think that's, again, it's a $1 billion plus business now. I think it's, again, probably something different from what everybody did. I think these are the three things that I can really feel were at my personal best. Of course, part of a big team, but being a part of a team which is doing something unique and making it successful is a great feeling.
Thank you for sharing. In my experience, managers or mentors in companies matter a lot. My mentor at Microsoft was not as great as my mentor at Google. And what I realized was that the person who mentors you in corporations really matter. Could you share some, could you shed some light on that aspect for the current and future generations as they navigate through corporates and rise as you have?
Samir, I think I've been very fortunate all through my journey. Wherever I was it in CDOT or different roles that I played in HCL, my manager was the most instrumental person in mentoring me, and I was very lucky. So there are many leaders in all through my career. I wouldn't call out a single person, but everybody who I reported into really helped me shape my overall development. And I think the most important aspect is they motivated me tremendously. I think when I did something, uh, they motivated, and I think as leaders, the biggest thing that we can do to our teams is to really applaud what good things that they're doing. It's quite easy to find always some critical feedback is something which we can always give. But I think the magic really happens when you applaud them for the good work they do. Then it just builds on itself. And I think I've been very fortunate.
Thank you for sharing. And then after 26 plus years, we hit 2020 and a pandemic. Looking back, now that we are possibly at a stage where it's in the rear view mirror, not as yet, what do you feel prepared you to deal with this googly that nobody ever in our lifetimes expected?
I read these interesting lines the other day, which goes like this. Our lives are made up of two main kind of days. One that is with you and the other which is against you. So when you are on a day which is with you, you learn and be very humble. And when you're really facing a day that is against you, you practice what you have learned and be patient. And I think this absolutely describes what we did in HCL. For many years, we've strongly believed in being very employee-centric, always focus on doing all the right things for our employees, which will enable them to create value for our clients. And so client value, and also always keep the extended family and communities in mind. So these were ingrained philosophies and convictions with which HCL was built, and a lot of us have practiced this. And I think the pandemic came, and it was just playing out everything that we have learned and perfected over the last many years. First, we said employees are the most important aspect. We focus and do everything right from an employee well-being perspective. And a lot of companies talk about it, but here the intent of the leadership was very visible to every employee. So each one of our employees, in spite of their personal odds, they stepped far above their comfort levels and did all the right things to keep our clients running, to take care of their other friends, family. People looked after each other, of course, enabled by the organizational mechanisms. I think that's what really helped. And I think I feel very proud that as a company, we did everything possible to keep our employees safe all across the globe. We have 180,000 people in different parts of the world, and we took care of them very well. And I think that's also created a quantum increase in how employees feel about HCL.
Amazing. So customer love and employees all the way. Thank you for sharing. So everyone sees this post-pandemic. The world is a completely different place. In your experience, and how are you looking at the future of work post-pandemic?
I think the most important change, or probably acceleration, is really the role that technology plays in everyone's lives, every business. I think has intensified multifold. Of course, this has a lot of implications of the future of work. And I kind of wrote this article for World Economic Forum a year back, where the whole future of work can be classified under 5 themes. First is work from anywhere. I think this is the past, the work was concentrated around certain economic hubs or big cities. But today, people can work from anywhere. The future operating model is going to be hybrid. It is believed that 40% of all work, one of the BCG reports says 40% of all work will be delivered remotely. So there's going to be a hybrid operating model. That's one aspect. The second aspect is work for all, right? I mean, it's not about where you are. It's also not how much time do you have and how much skills do you have. I think this post-pandemic world, everybody has a role to play. Work for all, whether you're in big cities, small cities, physically disadvantaged, everybody has certain opportunities which are available. I think instead of taking work to people, people used to come to work, but today we take work to the people. I think that's a big paradigm change that's happening. Work at will is another important element. I mean, you see gig economy, you have companies like Upwork, TaskRabbit, Kaleido. The digital platforms are enabling work at will, and the millennials want the flexibility. They want to work at their terms, and that's today possible because of what we've experienced during the pandemic. And the fourth aspect is the smarter work. A lot of monotonous routine work continues to get more and more automated through digital enablement. So the work that's remaining is going to be more smarter, like either data analysis or machine learning algorithms or AI, creative things, and things which require emotional connection to what you're doing. I think the work has become much more smarter. And last but not the least is a very important thing, what I call is new climate of work. The 19th century was industrial economy and the 20th century was knowledge economy. I believe the 21st century is going to be defined by, history will define it as probably a sustainable economy, right? There is so much emphasis and there is so much need for innovation or so much need to out-of-box thinking, how to make everything more sustainable, including our own lives, whether it is climate, whether it is the products that we use, electric vehicles. So many themes are coming out of this whole sustainable economy. I think that's going to be a big driving force. And I do think it'll create enormous opportunities for people to really think of how to make the world sustainable.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Just sticking with the future of work, if you look at the India startup ecosystem, it's almost exploded overnight. We are number 3 in the world of unicorns, 73 going to 150, $55 billion invested going to $100 billion, and market value of 300 billion possibly going to $1 trillion are some of the figures that the market is sharing with us. What are your thoughts on the new age digital startups that we've seen that have come about in the last 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, Samir, I think even more than the last 5 to 10 years, last 2 years have been phenomenal. While the technology was available, I think the biggest drag was really the change management, right? People's ways of working, how people looked at various aspects of conveniences or delivery. I think the pandemic has done a forced fitting of different ways of working. And I think it is probably leapfrogged by about 10, 15 years. So whatever change you would have seen in the Western countries in terms of consumers adopting to digital means of getting serviced. I think it's just happened overnight in India, and I think it's going to be the next big opportunity where so much value will get created. I think it's all not just about value creation. I think it's also going to make the country more sustainable, right? A lot of things are simplified, and the environment aspect gets a lot of attention because of all these newer digital means. I think the technology leverage to really achieve something which is more sustainable is happening. While there's a lot of excitement about the valuations and number of unicorns, but if you really take a step back, what do they mean for the country, for the people? I think it's a very profound meaning in the long term. It's definitely making life more sustainable for everyone.
I couldn't agree with you more. You know, growing up, everyone told me not to take risk. Today, all I see from my founders is taking risk, which is amazing to see. And I think that's a cultural change, because growing up, grandma and grandpa were telling me to study and become an engineer. Today, the same subset, and I would love to hear your experience, is asking the top talent coming out to go and take risk and grow with one of these startups or even found startups. What are you seeing?
Absolutely. I think, while hard work is very, very important, without any pain, there's no gain. We have to encourage people to take risks. Everybody needs to do something or step a little bit outside their comfort zone and do something which they're uncomfortable about doing. I think that's the way people evolve, right? So we have to encourage everyone to become uncomfortable. In fact, I said one best way of realizing your full potential is you become comfortable being uncomfortable, right? If you can kind of build your own self, or you can motivate people to, not in an extreme way, but one step at a time. You have to become uncomfortable every day. Then you evolve, you learn, you find ways of making things happen. So I think that's the culture. It's very motivating to see the younger generation take that as a big thing, and taking risks and making things happen.
Thank you for sharing. So you touched upon sustainability. You touched upon making sure that people are cognizant and concerned about the environment, which leads to sustainability. If there were a few other verticals in the tech industry that you would tell the kids at Lawrence, where we were, to focus on, what would they be? The future of tech.
I think there are a few things, right? I think design is a very, very important skill, right? As more and more things get automated, there is certain aspect which will not get automated. I think it's to do with design, right? Design is a lot of creative skills. It can be designing a product, designing a solution. I think the design as an aspect is very, very important. The second aspect would be, I think, everyone would have heard this, data, explosion of data. Today, there is so much data, people don't know how to make sense out of this data. From a notion of data, how to get insights. It could be driven a lot by algorithms, but even to build the right algorithms, you need a sense for data. I think what I call as a data sense is a very important. People talk about data science. I'm more and more seeing a sense for data and how to get the right insights from the data, which is really relevant to make a difference. I think so. Data analytics is going to be very important. And as more and more AI becomes embedded into everything that we do in our life, there needs to be, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of emphasis on the ethics around AI, right? When you do something, when an algorithm decides to grant a loan, for example, what is going behind it, right? How ethical is the whole process? It's some way of validating all of this. I think it's going to become a very big area in the future. And of course, all the sustainable technologies. I think electrification is a huge theme in in automotive industry, and I think similar themes are there across many industries. 3D printing is again a big theme which is coming from the whole sustainability paradigm. So I think if you apply sustainability to every industry, you will find a set of themes which are going to be the future themes, where there's going to be a lot of expectations of the new generation.
Thank you for sharing. So just a few summary questions. If I asked you about your leadership philosophy, do you follow a theme, a person? Have you come up with your own philosophy of leadership?
I mean, obviously, I've learned it from various people. But if I were to just summarize, I strongly believe in principle-centered leadership. I think the intent of what you want to do has to be absolutely pure, and that really manifests itself in everything that you do. Your leadership actions, your verbal, non-verbal, everything gets really communicated based on the intent. So principle-based leadership is something which I very, very strongly subscribe to, and I've practiced it. The second aspect is when you're working, I think creating an environment of trust and accountability is very important. And the reason it is important is when you create an environment of trust, everything can be done 5x or 10x faster. You don't need to double guess what other person is trying to do. So that trust is very important. But at the same time, you have to make people accountable for the outcomes. To really build a culture of performance, culture of accountability. And third, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on performance, but I put a lot of emphasis on consistent performance. Right? It's not about doing very well in 1 year, 2 years, but there are very few people who can consistently deliver extraordinary outcomes. So I think if you can put a premium on consistent performance as a leader, I think it becomes so much more easier, I think.
Thank you for sharing. We as leaders all have some areas that we would like to improve. For example, I am always very structured given my banking days. What area of development do you have for yourself?
Yeah, I have a lot of areas to work on, and it's a continuous work in progress. One area, I think, communication. I think while I'm reasonably good in communicating with a small group of people, being able to communicate to a very large audience, trying to really be a very impressive communicator, I think that's where probably there is a lot more learning. I'm very good on smaller settings, but not necessarily in large settings. So there are many such examples. I'm sure life is all about continuous learning. So.
Appreciate that. If you had to think about a legacy that you leave for the future generation of leaders, what do you think that would be?
I think if I can be an example of being a very caring, compassionate person, I think that's the best that I can hope for, and that'll be great.
And to summarize all of this, if there was a few mantras, say your top 3, that you had to share to improve or make a better version of yourself, what would those mantras be for you to share?
Yes, I did share this in one of the whole Laurentian, when I was at the school, I did share 3 or 4 points. I think the first I would emphasize on lifelong learning. Alvin Toffler said, the illiterate of the 21st century is not the one who cannot read and write, but it will be one who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I think this is a very important aspect as the world is changing so fast. One needs to be constantly learning. A lot of us think of it learning as school and college, and then you get on to work, but it's a continuous process. And people who have lifelong, purposeful, continuous learning, I think they will, that's a very important aspect. I think the second and most important aspect is you have to believe in yourself, right? Everybody has something where you are very strong in. There are certain sweet spots where you excel, you are unique, you are extraordinary. So you have to believe in yourself and give yourself that benefit of doubt that you can do it. I think that one conviction will drive you maybe even 10x further than what you would have normally achieved, right? And I think the third would be, whatever you're doing, do your best. Don't worry about what is it going to mean in 5 years, 10 years. I think you have to live in the present moment. Do the very best of everything that's given to you. I think you will get noticed and you will have great success. I have more, but I thought I'll simplify this to lifelong learning, believing in yourself, and doing the very best of what is given to you as the three key learnings.
So Vijay, we've heard something about hummingbirds. Could you share that with us also?
Yeah, Samir, to be honest, this was something which in the World Economic Forum, when we had a reception 2 years back, we had the Nobel laureate, Nobel Peace Prize winner, Kailash Satyarthi visiting us. And he told me the story and I kind of stuck in my mind. He was going to give a Nobel Peace Prize award lecture and he had some prepared speech, he lost it. So he narrated a story. And the story went like this. There was a forest fire, right? And all the animals were running out, including the king of the jungle, lion, everybody was running out. And there was this hummingbird which was flying into the fire with a small droplet of water in its beak. The lion was shouting, "What are you crazy? You're going to get burnt." And the hummingbird just flew into the fire saying, "I'll do my bit," right? And I think that was an amazing story. So we all have to do our bit and things will all kind of cascade and create the best outcomes that we all want to create in any situation.
Vijay, I thank you very much for sharing so deeply. I have a quick, rapid round of questions. One is your favorite food?
I'm pretty simple. I mean, I would be very happy with curd rice. That'll keep me very satisfied and very happy.
Super. Your favorite book?
One book that I recently read is The Shoe Dog. I don't know if you have read it. This is by the founder of Nike, Phil Knight. It's an amazing book. I liked it. And of course, an all-time, or whatever I call it, perennial favorite will be Good to Great by Jim Collins. I think it's a great book, especially if you're on the corporate side of the world. It's a great book.
Thank you for sharing. Your favorite sport?
I think it's cricket. I'm sure that's common for so many people.
Yesterday wasn't good for us, but we hope for better. What is your favorite pastime or hobby?
Samir, I have always kind of dabbled in different things, from yoga to astronomy, Vedic astrology, but nothing is, I've not found time to consistently pursue some of these things. These days a long solitary walk is what keeps me very, it gets me energized. So that's a hobby of long walks. And of course, there are other things which I'm sure I'm going to pursue a little more deeply when I find more time.
Thank you for sharing. What made you smile in the previous week? One moment.
I mean, at home we have an English lab. His name is Haiku, right? I think the kind of unconditional love and antiques that he does, I think it always makes me smile. It just gets, it gives you a different perspective, and I really enjoy that.
We have a Kava poodle called Kobe, and I could not agree with you more. It's the most unconditional relationship with us and the kids.
Absolutely.
One last question before we wrap up. Many future aspiring OLs will be watching this. Any words of wisdom to share with them?
As I shared earlier, I think life is a journey, so you have to enjoy it, right? You don't have to be super accomplishment oriented, right? I think the fun is really about enjoying the journey of life. So I think you should emphasize every day that are you really enjoying what you're doing? And of course, everything else is a top up, right? Whether you can do lifelong learning, you can accomplish great things. I think they're all top ups. I think in my view, you have to enjoy the everyday moments in your life. I think if you can build that mindset, I think Lovedale offers an excellent environment of a great balanced perspective to everything, and just make use of this and that ambience, and then kind of build on it.
Vijay, I really thank you for sharing so openly and so deeply with the whole Lawrence community. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to many more interactions with the OL community. I would like to invite back Kalpana and Rohan. Kalpana and Rohan, please, over to you.
Thank you, Samir. It's been a very, very interesting conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Vijay. I really
Hi, Rohan.
made a lot of notes for the many things that you said that resonated with me. Definitely that life is a long journey that you should have fun with resonated with me. Your principle centered leadership point resonated with me. Believe in yourself resonated with me. I mean, there were many. I also like your leadership about extending to the family networks of the 180,000 people at HCL. I think that is a very broad-minded, very generous approach to leadership because that's what people needed at that point in time. Design is important. I love that. That's my background, and I seriously believe it to be true. It makes a difference. But I'm very curious about one thing that, because I've read up a little bit, that you're involved with the World Economic Forum. Can you please share with us a little bit about what you do in your role there?
World Economic Forum, I mean, brings together leaders from all over the world every year. We didn't have it last year. It's going to happen again this year. So there are many working groups which are constituted. I'm part of a working group which is called as the IT Governors Council. I had the opportunity of leading this in the last year, the overall IT Governors group. So some of the initiatives that we talked about is about data privacy, right? Today, privacy regulations are so daunting that the true value of data is we're not able to get the right value out of data, especially in industries like healthcare and things which can really find cure for some very difficult situations. I think data is a big leverage that we can have. So by kind of simplifying some of the data residency, privacy regulations, we can change the world. That's the theme under which some initiatives are being put in place. That's just one example. There are many initiatives in the World Economic Forum.
I'm sure you do a lot. But I appreciate everything that you shared with us today on All Nation. Thank you, Samir. Thank you very much for the questions you asked that brought out some very good answers from Vijay. So appreciate it all. Yeah. Thank you.
So thanks so much, Kuti. And I don't have a question, more of a engagement statement. Vijay, thanks for tolerating me chasing you for for a while and being here with us. And yep, all our batchmates, they should be watching. And if you remember, Samir, last year we had a session on entrepreneurship, and of course we were in the midst of the pandemic, and everyone was hoping that it was going to get over in a couple of months, but nothing really happened. It went much worse than that. One of the topics we talked about was entrepreneurship and setting up, giving back, and these type of things, and the setting up, for example, of an e-cell, right? We talked about it at Lovedale, or perhaps setting up a facilitation or mentorship concept desk for young old Laurentians. Folks who know me know that I take extreme risk. I keep on trying all sorts of stuff. I mean, how I get bored, right? But I remember I read this book, Against the Gods, by Peter Bernstein, long time ago. And I come from the shipping industry, an old style shipping industry. If you don't take risk, where is the game at that level? And how to manage that risk? Taking risk is one thing, but managing it with education, with underwriting, and all sorts of stuff. Knowledge actually manages risk. Perhaps I just want to put on this table, on the panel. Now perhaps it's a good time because kids have gone back to school and life seems to be returning to the new normal. Perhaps we could now take this concept forward. What would you think about something like this, Vijay? An entrepreneurship cell at Lovedale with some super duper folks like Samir supporting, and yourself perhaps, and me, and Atul Veer, Amy Alagappan, and so many others.
Yeah, I think, Rohan, it's a great concept. I think it adds a completely new dimension to the Lawrence School, right? Where, today people don't have to really get into a formal college and then look at entrepreneurship. It can start right out of school. And I think there are a lot of creative ideas, and millennials and the younger people are going to define the world in the future. So anything that we can do to enable them and support them by mentoring or whatever support we can provide, I think it'll be a great initiative. And I'm very happy to support this in whatever way.
Samir?
You already know that I would love to have something like that.
Yeah. Have
the next big entrepreneurs come out of Lawrence. So happy to support any way I can.
And thanks so much for that vote of confidence. And I think I mentioned it earlier on when we came on, is that the next session for November, we've got 2 young OLs. And one of the things we want to do for OL Nation is get the younger crowd in. I mean, I don't believe in age as a concept. It's how you feel and what's in your head. We've got 2 OLs from the batch of 2013. Am I right, Kalpana?
That's
2013.
Right.
Thiru, Vikram, and Shonak. Malapurkar, yeah. So Thiru is based in Buffalo, and he's come up. I think he runs a startup called Buffalo Automation, and it's pretty funky and interesting. And question was, I left school and I knew what I wanted to do. I had a couple of challenges, and he's on that road. And I think there will be a link between this session and that by virtue of this particular conversation. But all that notwithstanding, I really want to say thank you so much for being here. Thank you for participating and your messages to everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, OL Nation team. This is an amazing initiative, and keep up your great work.
Thank you.
Happy to support in any way we can.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to the team. Amazing platform.
Well, that was a great session, wasn't it? And Vijay, from the time I knew him in school to now, grounded, super focused, simple, and a great human being. It's wonderful to have met him here and see him now. And we're all proud of him. All of us are proud of him as a world leader. Great, Vijay. Thank you so much. And Samir, of course, thank you once again for being there with us. The next session for OL Nation is also based on the tech world. We have 2 young OL Laurentians from the batch of 2013, Thiru and Shonak. And we're going to talk about the near future and the lovely work that they're doing. Separately, we have OL Assembly on the 13th of November. Stay tuned for that too. And once again, thank you, and I wish you a pleasant evening. Good night.